The Susan Brender Show is a radio show online broadcasted on YouTube across the United States and globally. The show features guests who speak about health, spirituality, entertainment, and a host of subjects to enlighten people across the nation. Listen to the show that empowers women and men alike and highlights those who have made a difference.
Miller Therapy is owned by Scott Miller, who is a licensed physical therapist in the state of Florida and an active member of the American Physical Therapy Association. Scott is a certified health and fitness instructor by the American College of Sports Medicine and a CPR and first aid certified by the American Red Cross. An alumnus of Nova Southeastern University, it was there where he received his MPT in physical therapy. And my next guest is Ernesto Ruiz Bry, who is a former professional tennis player, coach of big stars in the ATP and WTA circuits, business entrepreneur, and renowned artist with a multicultural background that helps him to integrate in different environments. Years of success in the tennis industry has prepared him well for tennis director. He's proven success in iconic clubs around the globe, such as Orange Lawn Tennis Club. And there are so many other things that he's done, and I want to welcome both to my show.
It's always a pleasure being on your show, Sue. I always enjoy answering questions about physical therapy and about injuries and sports. And I love being a part of this show. So I look forward to this interview with Ernesto, and can see how we can collaborate and chat about tennis.
So let's begin the interview.
Thanks for joining us, Ernesto. I've read a lot about you, and I'm an avid tennis player myself, and just what brings you to South Florida, and kind of what's your background in tennis?
Well, hi Susan, hi Scott.
Hi,
it's nice to be in the show. My background in tennis is I started as a professional tennis player. Actually, a little bit late. I started to travel when I was 25 because of economical reasons, and the time were not like today. That was complicated at the time. You had to do what your parents were telling you to do. So that complicated things a little bit more. Anyways, I'm very, very in what is injuries and injuries prevention in tennis, since I almost stopped playing when I was 19. At 19, I stopped actually. I stopped playing at 19, and I was so lucky to meet a doctor that he changed my life completely. So he taught me a lot about injuries, injury prevention, and especially diet, which is another very, very important subject. So I went into the circuit playing, and at a very young age, I started coaching players. And actually, I was very lucky. The first player I coached, he reached the top 30 very fast. And since then, I was always coaching players among the top 50, like was the case of Ronald Agenor, Guillermo Vilas, Mary Jo Fernandez, Gabriel Marcus, Claudio Mesadri, all players that were among some of them top 5 in the world, most of them top 30, top 20. And South Florida is the place for tennis, is the place for art. You have a very good weather here, so I don't think there is another place like this one for my profession.
Scott, he talked about injuries. Tell us a little bit about some of the people that you see with injuries, and ask Ernesto what kind of injuries he's talking about.
Well, as a physical therapist here in South Florida, we see quite a few injuries that are associated with overhead sports, and athletes that play a lot of tennis and pickleball, especially with the influx of pickleball playing. So we certainly see a a lot of shoulder injuries and a lot of knee injuries and back rehab. And I've been here in Delray for almost 17 years now, and have been working with all the local tennis academies and the local country clubs, and see, a lot of tennis players at all different levels, both at the amateur, beginner level, all the way up to some, semi-pro and pro tennis players. So it is a great, very active community here, and we've been seeing these types of injuries all throughout the years. Ernesto, what do how do you normally assess a player that comes to you and you're trying to keep them on the court and they're complaining of aches and pains? I've had experience with trainers, I've had experience with coaches, I've had experience with parents who their main concern is to get them into the next tournament no matter what, and how soon can they get back to playing. And it's a battle between how much time off they need, and a good balance between the rehab they need to get them better, so that they can be at 100% instead of continuing to try to play on an aggravated elbow or shoulder. So that's always been a battle in the tennis world.
You're right. If you as a doctor or as a physio tell them they have to wait, they have to rest during 1 month, parents, they will look for another physio that tell them they will wait only 15 days. And if they found a physio that says in 1 week he or she will be okay, they take the last one. It's my approach to players when they are at competition level is the same approach they did with me. First, you have to be an athlete. After, you have to be a tennis player. Regarding pains during training, at high level, is almost every day you have different pains. My approach is, if this pain continues, normally the pain comes after practice. If it's during practice, I stop the practice. If it's during practice, I stop, right? If the pain is after practice, what I do is I wait 24 hours. We practice next day, and if at the beginning of practice, of any time during practice, the pain comes back, then we will treat it. But my idea is that you have to wait until your body is ready to practice again. You cannot push practicing, you cannot push training, forget about the next tournament. This is my approach to tennis. I mean, I remember this doctor who worked with me during years. He told me it's very easy to make an athlete for 5-7 years. We inject him, we put all kind of things, we make him play next day. But I build athletes for a lifetime, this guy used to tell me, and I use the same philosophy that this guy.
No, and that's a great philosophy to have, and it's sometimes easy, and the athletes understand that, but a lot of times it's the people around them and their parents and their other coaches that don't always understand that. So as a physical therapist, it's nice to hear that you're on that same page as well, because I'm the same way with my own tennis playing. If I'm playing tennis and I'm feeling pretty good, I know that my body's doing okay, and I'm going to be sore after I play. I usually am, and if I feel pretty good the next day, I'll get back to playing when my knees or shoulder feel ready to play again. And it goes at any level, and it's, you got to really listen to an athlete's body, because otherwise, I try to tell them that either we take a little time off now, whether it's 1, 2, 3 weeks, or you're going to end up getting injured and you're going to have to take 6 months off or a whole season off. So, that sometimes gets to them as well.
Ernesto.
You're right.
Go ahead, Ernesto.
Agree 100%. You can be ready for next tournament, but your body can take X amount of injuries, and there will be a moment where this player cannot play anymore. It happened only once with me, with a player. but she was a girl. She was a very good player, a promising athlete, but she was hiding shoulder problem since she was 12. She didn't want to say anything that she was in pain every day because she was very concerned about the investment the parents were making on her. So when she was 16 or 17, she reached a point where she couldn't play anymore, but the injury was so bad that she had to quit tennis at 18. That's the only time I had something. Otherwise, uh, with my players, and is what I advise to everybody, same saying that Scott just said, you have to stop all the time. You need to stop. Just now, I never had a tennis elbow in my life. I reached a point like 3 weeks ago where I couldn't hold a racket. So since 3 weeks, I don't play tennis and I'm working on light weights, rubber bands, everything to fortify my arm, but I will not hit the ball until I feel my arm at 100%.
You know, Ernesto, you talked about nutrition. How important is nutrition when you're a tennis player?
Well, not only when you're a tennis player, nutrition is the base for everything. Even for everybody, even for an artist, for a writer, for anybody, it's fundamental. Um, in tennis players, what I saw a lot of very bad advice in nutrition. Really, uh, what can I tell you? Last time I was at the circuit was in Roland Garros 2000 or US Open 2018, and I saw the play. I didn't see the top one, two, or three eating because they don't eat at the players' lounge. But the other players, they were eating everything, anything. I mean, no control, no control in tennis. You had to have a 24 hours diet before the match, 12 hours, 6 hours diet before the match. Very important, the diet after the match to recover. I don't, only a few players follow this approach. And when I told them, but look what Djokovic does, you think that Djokovic with all these millions, he loves to eat what he eats? He eats to perform. And they say, yeah, but he's Djokovic. When I reach this level, I will do the same thing.
Yeah.
And the answer is the opposite.
You know, one of the things you played with some very important players. Give us an example of some of the players that you played with that you thought were great.
Well, a plane or you want to keep talking about diet?
Both.
Because I have a nice example. I remember when I was with Mary Jo Fernandez, her breakfast, she had a very good diet, really. She trains like I never saw a player training like her, really. It was impressive. Some days we were doing 8 hours of training, including physical therapy, recovering, but really so serious. And her diet was very good. And I remember the other girls, how lucky she is. Look how skinny she is. And you see the other ones having bacon, croissant. You don't imagine what they were cream, what they were eating. I couldn't say anything, but come on, start eating like her. You will be like her. This is very important. Now, other players, I saw players losing matches for because of food, and I saw players winning matches because of food. I don't know if you remember a match in US Open, but Sampras against the Spanish guy Correcha, and Sampras was vomiting during the match. He was vomiting in the back of the court, and Vijay Armitage, one of the commentators at the time, he said, if I ate what Sampras ate before half an hour before the match, I cannot be here commentating this match, and the guy is playing there. Really, some of them, yeah. And then you have the other ones that they, for the same reason, they see Sampras doing that, they think they can do that, and forget it. They cannot step on the court. But I saw so many things like that, really. But this is things that make these top players different. They know how to deal with the situation. Create this situation, and he deal with it. Other player in the same situation will quit the match.
Scott, you saw many different players playing all the years. Was there one particular player that you thought really did a great job?
What do you mean great job as far as coming through therapy or actually playing on the circuit, or what doing a great job for
playing on the circuit? What was one of the best players you've ever seen?
Throughout the years, we've seen quite a few juniors, not many, professionals that are, on the, professional circuit right now, but we've seen a lot of juniors that have trained and come through South Florida, and, taking them through, their aches and pains and different injuries. So, I don't know anyone specifically that, can chat about, but, that we've seen quite a few tennis players that have come through South Florida here.
Well, the same question is for you, Ernesto. You've been around for a long time, and there are players that you've seen that are amazing. And are the players today the way they were before?
I can tell you, you have a few players before that they were taking what we call the invisible training very seriously. Invisible training is what happened off court. Regarding with today's players, I see a big difference in the way they are prepared today. Physically, they are so well prepared physically that actually the physical condition, the fitness doesn't count anymore. It's like if you want to play at high level, you have to be fit at over 100%, otherwise forget. It's like if you want to play with one leg only. I mean, it's so important, fitness, like it's important to have two legs to play tennis. So all players are very, very fit. Great players that I saw, well, most of them. I was very impressed at the time with Bjorn Borg. McEnroe was really something also. Once we were having a dinner with John McEnroe and Guillermo Vilas, and Vilas said, thanks to you, Lendl is what he is today. You lost this final at the French Open when you had the match in your hand. One more game to win the match and you lost. And then Lendl became the great champion that is now. And McEnroe answered, oh, if I just trained more than 2 weeks before the tournament. He wasn't playing tennis for 1 month or more. That was before. Today, there is no way a player can do something like that. It's very complicated to mark a parallel between the old players and the player from today.
Ernesto, there's another thing. You talk about the physical situation that goes on with a lot of the players and the injuries and all the different things that happen to them. But what about the psychological aspect of playing a game and really having a thought that you're going to win and really do very well in the game?
Well, this is complex and very simple at the same time. The problem starts at the beginning. At the beginning, if a player starts to look for results, and normally it's not the player, well, player and the family and the surrounding, you cannot focus in excellence. The main thing is to focus in excellence when you start playing tennis. Then the results will come. Now, psychologically, let's put it this way. If you step on the court and you do exactly what you were taught to do and what you learn, you hit the forehand the way you have to hit the forehand, you hit the backhand, you don't miss the ball, and you lose the match, okay, you will be happy because the other player was better than you. But you see that most of the players, especially the juniors, when they lose, they are very unhappy. So if you are unhappy, it's because you didn't perform the way you should. And this is because you are looking for to win a match instead of looking for excellence in what you do. But this is a work that has to be done during years. Now, psychologically, going back again to the psychological problem, let's put it this way. Once Nadal said, psychologist for a tennis player, psychologist is for people who have real problems. Tennis is a game. So we don't need a psychologist to play a game, he said. Now, if you are fit as Nadal, I mean, you never get tired, you are fast, you don't miss one ball, and you have a put away ball, you win the point. I mean, you don't need any psychological help. But is there, to me, is there where tennis gets complicated? A lot of people trying to make money with tennis, inventing different things and making tennis very complicated when at the end of the day it's just a game. And if you play it as a game, I mean, you keep playing until you are 40, you don't feel the pressure, you don't have any psychological problems. Now, going back to the juniors, I work with some of the best psychologists in the world, and I told them, listen, you don't have to treat the kid, you don't have to treat the player, you have to treat the surroundings. There is the big problem. That is where we need a psychologist in tennis, for the surrounding of the player.
Now, here's the other thing. When I see you training people, I saw you training a girl the other day, and she was hitting the ball like crazy, and she was so into it, big time. Now, here's the thing. We have basketball, we have football, we have baseball. Is tennis the game it used to be? Because I remember taking my son to the games in New York, and he loved it. He loved it. But today, basketball and football and baseball seem to be the game of the day. So what's happening with tennis now? Is it really as popular as it was before?
No, not at all. Tennis is losing, and and the federations in charge of it don't realize that. They see that it grows the competition, but at a popular level and people practicing and kids practicing, you don't have so many. It's a very difficult sport. It's the way they play the sport now is boring to me. For example, the girl you saw the other day hitting the ball very hard. So I don't know if it was before or after you left. I stepped on the court and I said, okay, now I want you and your partner, I want you to put 20 balls non-stop on the court. And they couldn't. They said, okay, there will not be a break until you don't put 20 balls on a row on the court. And they keep hitting hard. I said, you will have to hit at the speed you had to hit to put these 20 balls on the court. They couldn't understand that. That was an exercise we were doing with the USTA one day. And they said that was both. They told me they thought that this training was useless because good players, they hit the ball very hard. But in order to hit very hard, you have to start slow. It's like driving a racing car. You cannot start driving at 200 miles per hour. You start at 10, you learn to turn, and then you start to increase your speed. Today, this girl was passing 300 balls on non-stop. But this is the problem of today tennis. To me, it's a hitting nonsense. There are a few players who use strategy, and lately I'm analyzing women players more than before, and I realize that when you have a player like Pegula or the number one, I forgot her name now, the girl from Poland, there are a few girls that they use strategy. They try to use strategy. And on the other side, you have a girl that will hit everything that goes over the net. And one day, all this ball goes in, you cannot play this girl. And next day is not a good day, she misses everything. And this is what the young kids, they try to copy. They don't go for the one who is trying to use strategy, variation, a creative game. They like the one that hits every ball at 100 miles per hour. And this is the problem to me why tennis is losing in all aspects. I watched the Delray Open, and there were only a few matches I watched until the end. Um, I, I there was a point, I mean, where it's so powerful the game that you lose all the the nice stuff that the tennis had before. When you see, for example, a guy like Federer playing, or Nadal, even Djokovic, or Murray, or even Alcaraz, you see another game, but people don't see that. And I don't know if that will improve someday. We are losing at that. That's why people is going to pickleball also. You have a lot of variations in people. You can play a game in pickleball.
You know, I'm so glad you brought that up, Ernesto, because Scott has talked about pickleball a lot. Scott, do you see, is it as popular as it was before, and are young people getting involved?
Absolutely. Pickleball continues to grow. And, for that exact reason that Ernesto said, is that, anybody can really pick up a pickleball paddle and play. And you can really play against all different various levels of play. And you can play with partners who have never played before and can pick up the game. Whereas tennis, it's a lot more of a technical game, and it's very, very hard to pick up a racket and have a rally with someone if they've never picked up a racket before. It's very hard, and you can't just pick up go to a tennis court and just play with any random people. It's you really got to find players to play that are at your level in order to have a fun competitive match. Whereas pickleball is a little bit different, and so I feel like it's available to a lot more people to play, and it's a little bit more social because you have a lot more people that can play at one time. However, I probably will always be in or at least have a big place in my heart for tennis. So I'm not defecting over anytime soon, and I still love the game of tennis and really enjoy it for everything that it is.
We're almost at the end of the show, Scott. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
I just want to reiterate the facts for those who are listening at any level of tennis, not just the very high level of tennis that we've been talking about, but tennis or pickleball, or for that matter, any sport. You just have to realize that you got to listen to your body, and if you don't, or if you overdo it and you do more than what your body can handle, you're going to get hurt. You're going to have aches and pains, and soreness and muscle aches are normal if you're going to be active. But there's a difference with injuring your body and having an injury where you can't you can't physically play anymore. So you have to listen to your body, don't overdo it, and seek professional assistance when needed. If you are having any issues with when you're getting involved in any type of sport.
I have the same question for you, Ernesto. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, I agree with Scott. I mean, listen to your body. You have to be ready to do the sport. We had an accident a few months ago during a ladies' training. I think it was a heart attack. Lucky the head coach at Delray Beach Tennis Center, she has all the background you need to face these situations. She saved her life, but I see people what are not ready physically to play, and they expect to play at a higher level. So could be a beginner, could be a advanced player, but as Scott said, listen to your body and get ready before stepping into the court.
Well, we're at the end of the show, so if somebody wants to get in touch with you, Scott, how do they do that?
Well, if you're local to South Florida or Palm Beach County, we have a really nice facility in East Delray Beach, downtown Delray Beach, and we treat patients here at the office. We also treat patients in the comfort of their own homes in the Palm Beach area. And if you want just any information about Miller Physical Therapy, you can look us up online at miller-pt.com. We have a lot of content on that on our website about all different injuries for every single body part, and you can subscribe to our newsletter as well, which comes out each month that talks about different injuries, different things pertaining to maybe what's going on with the seasons. So it helps prepare for stuff that you do during the summer or winter months. So it's and you can find a lot of information on our website and contact us right through there as well.
And Ernesto, the same thing for you. If people want to get in touch with you, if they want you to be their trainer, how do they get in touch with you?
That's easy. I'm at the Delray Beach Tennis Center, or they can look at my webpage, which is ernestobrytennis.com, and I will be glad to advise anyone who want to improve his tennis.
Well, thank you both gentlemen for being on the Susan Brender Show. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Susan, for inviting me. And Scott, I will be sending you people there to you. I have people asking where to go for injuries. I have a few tennis elbows among my students. I will send them to you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, Sue, for having me on the show. As always, it's a pleasure. And Ernesto, I look forward to meeting you in person. And we are, very, very close to each other. So we can certainly, we'll certainly coordinate, collaborate or treatment with patients and players.
Great. Anytime, Scott, we should meet. You're right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.